So here we are again. Another week has gone by, and the Two Reds podcast is back yet again to keep your chins up, lift your spirits, pump you full of adrenaline, keep you going. We're at about half time in lockdown, and I've been blogging this week about half-time lockdown fatigue, and I've been so busy feeling sorry for myself that I've not had a chance to say hello to Ashley Latter. So Ashley, how are you?
Very well, Chris. Very good. Very good. It's blue skies, no clouds in the sky. All good here. All good in North Manchester.
Well, given I'm sat in a basement, thanks very much for sharing that with me.
Yeah,
but So are you still in the nerve centre of the Latter Empire up in Radcliffe?
We are still here, still getting here every day. Yeah.
And I know you were telling us last week that you've been doing a lot of volunteer work in the dental community and all that stuff. Is there any change? Are you still
no change? No. Well, it's been a great, amazing week. I sold my first online course in Kenya, so I did some dental ethical sales and communication training with a dentist in Kenya.
Wow!
And we've done some business in Germany. So an international week this week.
I just can't. How can they understand you, Ash? I mean, has anybody from Radcliffe ever been to Kenya?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody from Radcliffe's ever been outside Radcliffe, to be honest. So,
no.
Yeah, they go to Bolton for the holidays here in Radcliffe.
I'm well impressed, and no doubt we'll hear more as we go on.
How's your week been?
Just mental, mate. And probably very apropos for our guest today. I'll come to that in a minute. But I seem to have found myself very much in the centre of things as far as the dental COVID-19 response is concerned. And I think somebody once defined luck as the meeting place of opportunity and preparation. And I think the preparation is just like you. I've been walking the boards in dentistry for 25 years. And I think the opportunity has been that, we've done a lot of groundwork in terms of online communication. And so when COVID-19 and when the lockdown came along, we just happened to be very well placed to try and reach out and give people support. And it's just gone flipping bonkers.
Yeah.
To put some meat on the bones, and I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but let's say it anyway, which is 1st of April, when we went into lockdown, the e-learning platform that we've got, the Extreme Business Academy, we had 200 people on that platform that we'd recruited over a year, and we threw the gates open and made it free of charge. And as of last night, we had 2,600 people in there.
Fantastic.
And I've also, as you know, I've always been a freelancer, and I've worked with a relatively small number of clients. And so when Boris said lockdown, I was working with about 35 clients actively. As of this morning, we've just hit 140.
Right.
And before you start wondering where the Aston Martin's coming from, they're all paying a lot less than I was charging before. But it's just been a privilege, frankly, to be in the middle of that community.
Yeah.
By heck, I'm busy. And I come down in this bunker every morning at 5:15. I'll be asking our guests about this in a minute. And I come down here at 5:15 every morning, and bar a quick go on the training bike, I'm sat here till either 6:30 or 8:30 at night, and I'm going, where did that go? Where did they go? And every single day now just goes past at 100 miles an hour. Never known anything like it. Which brings us to the reason why I'm extraordinarily happy to meet our guest today for the very first time. Lee Evans, welcome to the Two Reds podcast.
Thank you very much. Delighted to be here. Hopefully I can help you out a little bit with your kind of challenges you're facing at the moment. So feverishly writing down notes.
And
oh my God, I need to sort this guy out.
Yeah, and this isn't a free coaching session for Chris Barry. This is going to be, in a sense, a free coaching session for the many hundreds, if not over 1,000 people that will be listening to this podcast over the next 7 days. Almost all of them in the dental community, and almost all of them experiencing the same levels of stress. And of course, it's through the dental community that we were connected in the first place, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Are you allowed to talk about that, or is there a client confidentiality issue that we need to respect? I'd be guided by you on that.
Well, we can talk about the fact that I kind of work with somebody, I think, but obviously I'm not going to tell you all about what we work together with.
He has a very similar name to you, Chris.
Yeah.
We'll leave our listeners to work that out. But
I listened to his podcast the other day.
Yes, let's just say that if you go back through the 2.5 years that Ashley have been running this podcast, we can tell you that one of our guests was the person that actually recommended that we connect with Lee, and it may be somebody that we interviewed fairly recently. But I had an email from our mutual friend, who shall remain nameless, to say you've really got to talk to Lee, because this guy is unbelievable. And I was experiencing a lot of pressure in my business along with everybody else, and I spoke to this guy. And actually, I'm going to put you on the spot, Lee, because it's been suggested to me that you've cured him in 30 minutes. So there's an interesting thing. And when I say cure, cured him of overwhelm, cured him of stress, cured him of everything. So the good news is we've got 45 minutes today, so you can probably cure me and Ash. But before we get into all of that, tell us a little bit about yourself, Lee. Where have you been? Where have you come from? And who are you and what you do?
Okay, no, my pleasure. Thank you for that. Okay, I was born in South Wales, a little kind of tiny village with no real kind of, prospects or anything. Didn't really kind of have a good schooling. I kind of had a bit of a crappy start in life, if I'm honest. My mother killed herself when I was 15, kind of left us, and you're kind of bullied in school, skinny kid, all of that kind of stuff. Didn't do well. And I got to 15 and I thought, what the hell am I going to do in my life, right? I'm sat here in this village where people basically, their progression is to move to the bus stop where they smoke drugs in the night and throw kind of stones at cars and all the rest of it. I thought, there's got to be something more here. So anyway, led me to the city nearby, Swansea, joined the army, and I spent 25 years in the army. So I kind of left there, and it really taught me a huge amount about myself. Traveled all around the world, to Afghanistan a number of times, saw some kind of humbling, amazing kind of experiences really that I had. Learned a huge amount about leadership, about teams, about trust, about human behavior. It basically kind of built me into who I was, gave me the confidence I kind of didn't have when I was younger and all of that. So I had a long time in the military, 25 years. And halfway through that, I got fascinated with the mind and coaching. And when I got fascinated with it, it kind of really ignited a fever in me where I needed to know more than just was written in books. And thankfully, I had an amazing mentor, Dr. John Butler, who's a hypnotherapist. And I kind of, 10 years to go still for my military career, I became a hypnotherapist. And the way I tested the power of the mind was to have dental surgery with no anesthetic, and see if I could do that with self-hypnosis with no kind of pain. And I did, and I kind of did it. And then I had another surgical operation just because I didn't want to be the guy that was talking about the power of the mind without being able to kind of actually fully know inside my own self that I actually know what this means, right?
Is that video's on your website? I was looking at it yesterday.
Yeah, the website's really old, actually. I need to update it. But the video's there, yeah. So there's a video that's one of them anyway. But that was a real test for myself, It was like, I want to know, I want to really believe, so I have to kind of test it. So that was a test for myself. I did that. Once I'd done that, there was a kind of huge shift in my own kind of understanding, my mindset, because I now knew that the mind was really powerful rather than kind of read about it and talked about it. So I kind of went off on this 10-year journey then. The rest of my military career carried on, but I worked with every single person I could. I remember working with removal men on my stairs and hypnotizing them to basically kind of test and work with people. I worked with everyone, everywhere. In Afghanistan, in tents in the desert, or everything. I kind of just worked with as many people as I could to get as much experience as I could. And basically, I then left the military about 4 years ago and set up on my own. I thought, right, I'm going to be a hypnotherapist on my own. And I started doing that, and I kind of had, you know, referrals from dentists, doctors. My surgery was actually in a dental practice still locally. But eventually what happened is people started coming to me for other things, like athletes started to come involved and wanted to know about, you know, how do they deal with pressure at high performance levels, and business people. So that led me to high performance coaching, which I certified with last year in America as a high performance coach. And basically what it gave me is a laser focus. I've had kind of 10 years of very serious study and practice of the mind. And what this high performance coaching has given me is a targeted kind of laser scientific process to then unlock people's potential much quicker than I could already do. That's me. Is that kind of...
Well, I think I've got about 45 minutes worth of questions myself.
There's a lot more in between all of that, by the way.
Where the hell do you start after that?
I was curious, really, and you're really very open about it. Your mum's suicide at 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must have been hell. I don't know.
Well, look,
did you see it coming, or did it just happen one day? Or
I didn't see it coming. You know, I was a young kid. You know, it's a story. People have lots of things happen to them in their life, right? And kids are kind of really resilient. And we don't kind of realize what's going on. I didn't really realize what was going on, if I'm honest, until I look back, you know. But obviously it was a time where you kind of don't really know what's going on. And what I learned about the mind then, looking back, is the mind will protect you very well from things that are very painful, right? So for a lot of times, you know, I didn't really feel very much about it. I kind of just cracked on, got in the army, off I went. You know, but before that, she died just before I did that. So I had to look after my brother and sister. They were kind of 10 and 12 years younger than me. And my dad had to go out to work and all of that. So we kind of bonded the family. But, you know, what I've learned over the years is that your mind protects you from things that are too much for you to deal with. And I think that's what happened to me, because I had no kind of, not immediate sense of grief and pain and overwhelm anyway. But actually that did play out in my life as I went later on. You know, there was kind of this underlying kind of itch that I hadn't scratched and all of these things. So if I'm honest, you know, it affects me more now because it is my motivation for really impacting people in positive and lasting ways. Because people, life's short, right? It can go like that. And I now know that very deeply. And then layering on that learning in Afghanistan, I see people dead, fathers, no legs, you know, people I know, my friends. And you think, and my life taught me that life is precious, live it now, right? Don't kind of regret. Don't kind of waste your time. Don't hide yourself. Don't be this person that kind of, you know, is shackled by society's expectations of you. Be your true authentic self, express yourself, live your life, enjoy it, right? And I think that's kind of what life has taught me, you know, beginning probably back there with my mother. And then kind of the rest of my life kind of really gave me that message. And now my purpose is defined by that.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask a question on behalf of our audience? Because let's just ponder for a moment on our audience. And obviously we started off by saying that we have a mutual acquaintance who's one of your clients, who's a member of that audience, who is a dentist who owns his own dental business. Here we are on the 14th of May, 2020, recording this interview. We're probably, as far as dentistry is concerned, as far as private dentistry is concerned, it appears that we're about halfway into lockdown. And what has happened is that in the private sector of dentistry, a lot of owners have been placed in a very traumatic situation. And all right, it may well be that some of their teams have been placed on furlough, and therefore there's been some financial assistance in respect of the payroll. It may well be that some of them have been able to apply for various levels of government support, whether it's been business interruption loans, CBILS, or whether it's been bounce back loans. Some of them have been fortunate enough to get rates relief grants. Some of them have been able to go to their existing lenders and negotiate interest-free repayments or capital repayments with interest only. There's all sorts of that going on. But one thing's for sure, Ashley and I right now are sitting in the middle of a traumatized community. And not only are they traumatized by the events of the last 7 weeks, they're also traumatized by the uncertainties that they face ahead. Now, we're probably going to get this podcast broadcast in about a week from now. And the only thing that we can guarantee in a week from now is that that uncertainty about the return to work will still be there. And this podcast will be going out in about a week to a bunch of people who don't know where they're up to. And Ashley and I know, and you know, because you've dealt with one of them, these people are in very high levels of stress. So talk us through your approach when you're trying to help somebody that's in that situation.
Okay. So look, the first thing to realize is your life is full of uncertainty every single day, right? You deal with uncertainty every single day of your life. You don't know what's going to happen every day. You don't know, what kind of your health is going to do. You don't know if you're going to fall down dead tomorrow. You don't know loads of things. We have to first get kind of honest and make peace with the vulnerability of us as humans, right? There is uncertainty everywhere, all of the time. And you've dealt with it already. You have lived your life and you're very strong. You're very resilient. You've faced challenges before. You've done all of this stuff before, just in different guises all of the time. So that's the first thing I would say to people is recognize and realize your strength and your resilience to be who you are and where you are now already, and how life has kind of, thrown things at you, how you've kind of, people always make this mistake and think, oh, I'm so terrible, I'm not good, I'm not, or whatever else they talk about themselves in a negative way. But actually they don't realize that the fact that they haven't given up yet, the fact that they kind of have kept going all of these years, despite all of the challenges that have been faced at them, is proof and evidence to how resilient and strong they are. That's the first thing that I would kind of get people to realize is actually they've got this, they've faced this before. This is uncertain in a different way, okay, but it's kind of uncertainty, and we always have uncertainty. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing is, recognizing that most of your audience are high achieving people, right? They kind of are successful in what they do. They are good at what they do. They care at what they do. But what I've found over the years is most high achievers are not high performers. And there's a difference. High achievement and high performance is completely different. High achievement is about throwing myself into something so much and I excel in it while the rest of my life falls apart. Right? Exactly what you've just been talking about earlier in the thing where I'm sitting here now and I'm here from 5 a.m. till 8 at night and I'm exceeding and I'm excelling in this thing here, but at the detriment to my health, at the detriment to my psyche, at the detriment to my relationships, right? So high achievement is, high productivity in one area is not the same as high performance. High performance is succeeding across all domains of your life, whilst maintaining your health, maintaining your positive relationships, maintaining a sense of joy and confidence and satisfaction from each day. That's high performance. It's different. It's succeeding at all areas of life, not high achievement. Corporates do this all the time. They throw themselves into work. They're very rich and miserable and have no family left. There's a difference here. So I'd recognize that most of your audience probably haven't really considered high performance in that way before, where it is being, succeeding, it's being the best father you can be. It's being the best husband and spouse you can be. It's being the best friend you can be. It's being the best for yourself that you can be. It's optimizing your energy. It's sleeping well. It's hydrating a huge amount. It's taking breaks every 50 minutes to reset myself and go again so I don't. It's about releasing tension throughout a day. Because if you're not doing that, you're carrying tension throughout a day. And the best way for you to, wind down at the end of the day is to not wind up in the first place. So that means you have to release tension throughout the day, or you're going to carry it to the end of the day, right? So when we're talking about stress, that's a very important recognition. If you sit there for 4 or 5 hours in one go, you are not high performing. You are panicking, right? Because what you're doing is thinking, I've just got to get this one done, and then this one, and then this one, and you think you're being effective, but you're not, because cognitive decline is happening for you. Your energy levels are draining. You're kind of back, and your stiffness is all starting to come. The tension's all coming into your body. You're kind of, you're not being as effective as you could be if you set a 50-minute block of time, an alarm went off, you stood up, you moved around, you drank some water, took some deep breaths, jumped up and down a bit, got some music in your head, sat back down, then went, right, let's crush this next 50 minutes, bang. Yeah. And I'm breathing and I'm releasing tension, right? So, stress is life. And I think the difference between high achievement and high performance is I can sustain this level of performance over the long term for my whole life. That's what high performers do, because they're looking at all areas. I mean, I've just kind of blasted at you for probably 5 minutes there.
But you know what? Silence is always a good sign from me and Ashley.
Good. We're on track then.
One of the things you just said there, and it's interesting because I've probably not heard that, but what I think I've took away from that, obviously from performance and achievers, but I think I took away there is I bet a lot of dentists are thinking vulnerable and I can't do this, I can't do that, but what can I do? Well, I can become the best dad in the next 7 weeks. I can be the best wife or spouse the next 7 weeks. I can really work on my fitness like I've never ever worked on my fitness before. I've got time to coach and train my people and speak to my people. I've got time to do it. There's no excuses now, isn't there? I can work on my business. So there's things that I suppose what you can't control the uncontrollables, but here's what I can be the best at in the next 7 to 8 weeks.
This is what key high performance is about. It's about being the best at things that are important to you, right? But the trap people fall into is that work becomes the important thing and that's it. And then their kind of family drop down the priority list. Yeah. Their health drops down the priority list. The relationships. Really we should be, my advice to people in this pandemic, if they want to kind of cope, right, if we use that word, or rather from my point of view, we should be thriving in this opportunity. It's an opportunity, like you say, to connect better. It's an opportunity to kind of really skill up. So what I cover it in 3 kind of ways, really. My first bit of advice is be a role model. Be somebody that you would be proud to follow in this environment. Be a role model for your family. Be the role model dad. Strive for it. Be the role model spouse. Be the role model friend. Be the role model in terms of your health and fitness. Be the role model kind of leader of people, right? In your communication as well. So be that leader of people that people will follow, because we have emotional contagion going on. Emotion is contagious. If I kind of, I'm very, very worried all of the time and I'm negative and I'm kind of in my self-drama and I'm always kind of worrying about this stuff all the time, it's contagious and people pick it up and they are more now worried because of your worrying all of the time. But the same energy is here with leadership. If I'm charged, if I'm positive, if I'm optimistic, I'm looking forward, I'm like, let's go, people. That is a contagious energy, So be a role model for how you want to think and feel and how you want others to think and feel is the first thing. The second thing is use this opportunity to optimize your health. That's the second opportunity. Your psychological health, if needs be, the way you use your self-talk, your narrative, lots of dentists, I know lots of dentists, I've worked with lots of them. I kind of have friends, some of them, and a lot of them are so self-critical. They're so their standard is so high, they can never reach it for themselves. They never give themselves a break. They're kind of like, oh, but I've got to be the best at this and this and this and this. And they basically end up just punishing themselves all the time. And there's kind of no let off. They don't back themselves. They don't appreciate their efforts. They haven't learned to say, I worked really hard at that today. Well done, me. Good job, you. They haven't learned to appreciate their efforts. They're just appreciating outcomes. They just think if I achieve that target there and that goes well and that thing outside of me, that reaction is good, then I can praise myself for being good if I even get there. the way to appreciate your efforts is to look back at your day and think, what did I try really hard on today? All right, good on me. Use that self-talk. But the second thing is optimize your health. I kind of went off on a bit of a tangent there, but optimize your health is number 2. You know, do yoga every day. Breathe throughout your day all of the time. Drink 5 or 6 liters of water every single day, right? Because that gives you another effect. It cleans out your toxins from your body. It gives you clarity in your mind. It makes you move a lot because you've got to go to the toilet anyway, so that's an added bonus. You know, drink lots of water. Eat healthily. Think about kind of, you know, how do I use my NutriBullet? How do I kind of get some kale and pineapple and orange and all that stuff I could just get from the shop and chuck it in and have it for my breakfast, try and energize myself. You know, sleep for 8 hours every single night. Every single night. If you think about sleep, this is all on optimizing energy, right? If you think about sleep, the 4 pillars, there's a book called The 4 Pillar Plan. I don't know if you've heard of it, but is sleep, exercise, movement, nutrition, right? Or rather sleep, exercise, nutrition and mindset of relaxation. They're the kind of balance of basic control. If we lose some of those, let's say I don't eat healthily for a weekend, no big deal, right? Let's say I don't exercise for a weekend, okay, no big shakes. Let's say I don't kind of talk to myself very well or relax for a weekend, okay, no big deal. Don't sleep for a weekend, car crash. Your whole system is shut down. Sleep well, right? If you're not sleeping 8 hours, start sleeping 8 hours, work out.
How do you sleep 8 hours?
Ashley, we've got to work together, mate.
It's all right. You saying sleep 8 hours? It's I don't know.
I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how. Right. I'll tell you how. You set it as an intention. You build a routine.
I do. Yeah.
Well, listen. Okay. You understand transitions. Then this is another part of being kind of using your energy well. There are transitions throughout every single day. Right. Sleep to wake is a transition. Right. Being then, let's say from 7 o'clock till 8 o'clock, my role is being a father. There's a transition there. In that transition, you have an opportunity to release tension, set your intention. Now, talk about sleep. I can give you a process here that will change your life, right? 3 hours before sleep, don't eat any food. Write it down. 3 hours before sleep, don't eat any food, right? That gives your digestive system a rest. It stops the stimulating effect in your body, and it starts to slow things down. 2 hours before sleep, don't do any work, right? No emails, no kind of stress-inducing kind of work stuff, right? 2 hours before, no work, no stress-inducing kind of things. 1 hour before, no screens at all. No phone, no television, no nothing like that with a screen. You know, read a book that's actually got some pages. That I call the golden hour. Right? So you see we're transitioning here from wake over 3 hours to slow the system down so it's ready to fall into sleep when we want it to. And in the golden hour, you fill that golden hour with yoga, breathing, stretching, talking to my kind of spouse, reflecting on my day, went well. You know, all of the other things that we should be doing more of, we're doing those things instead. That's the golden hour to really slow everything down. Have the lighting low, reflect on your day, you know, appreciate your day, have gratitude, all those other things. Nothing else in that golden hour and your sleep will transform.
Okay. You on number 3 as well there. So we've got role model health, which I interrupted you on, so I do apologize. And then number 3?
Yeah, so this is about kind of, the other thing is skilling up. Get better at something. You know, set yourself some goals to get better at. Maybe that is, like you said, to be a better father. Skill up in that area. You know, what do you need to get better at? How are your reactions to your children? Does it need emotional intelligence? What is it for you to skill up as being a better father? Or something else? Do online courses that develop your brain, your mind. Do something that, you know, develops you professionally. Do something that develops you personally. The other thing to so skilling up is the third thing I would do, right? The other thing to realize is your audience will set goals a lot. They're driven people, right? Most of the audience, the dentists, but they don't set being goals. They only set work goals, more or less, right? I work a lot with military people. I work a lot with kind of high performing athletes. people who are really kind of at the top of their game, and some of your people will be the same, they do not set goals like they do in their professional life for their personal life, right? They don't have being goals. I mean, how do you want to be as a father? For me, this is linked to self-awareness. If I say, somebody in a corporate once said to me, oh, I'm very self-aware. I said, oh, okay. How do you manage that self-awareness for yourself? How do you keep that awareness of yourself? You go, oh, you've put me on the spot now. I'll have to think about that. I'm like, the irony in the kind of answer is you have no awareness of yourself, right? Because if you had awareness of yourself, you'd be able to tell me when I'm at my best, I'm very loving, right? I'm a kind of loving father when I'm at my best. I'm very engaged and present when I'm at my best. At my best, when I'm reading a book with my kid, I'm in the story with him and enjoying it, right? I'm very present, engaged when I'm in this interview with you. There's no other distraction, not checking Facebook and emails. So that's me at my best. I'm very disciplined at my best. You know, when I'm at my best, I kind of have a plan. I'm very structured. I live in the plan. They'll be able to tell you a huge amount more about who they are, why, and how they maintain that awareness by reflecting a lot. And it's like, how do you know anything? You ask questions. If you want to know information, you go to Google, type the thing in, right? Gives you the answer. Ask yourself more questions. So being goals is how you want to be, needs, as much kind of focus as people use in their professional life. Being goals is one, creating goals is the other one. What are you kind of trying to do in this life? What's the kind of purpose? What do you want to leave behind? What's the effect you want to have in people's lives? They're creating goals, creating experiences, creating products, creating, all of these kind of things. We should be setting, creating goals. What am I trying to create here? And the final one we should really be focusing on is relationships. What are your relationship goals? People don't have them. Well, for me, it's very important to set relationship goals. Every month before COVID, take my wife away without fail. Either a night away, go to a pub lunch, whatever it might be. It's a goal. And I hit it every single month. I have an indicator, So we should be setting being goals, relating goals, creating goals within all of our life, really.
So what's interesting about that, and thank you, by the way, because that's a tour de force, and I'm scribbling notes furiously here, and Ashley's so actually bombarded by all of this, he's left the room.
Away. Sorry, Ashley.
He's gone home. But just give me a spin on this into lockdown, because I'm scribbling notes. I'm loving it. It's fantastic. Just in lockdown, if you're locked in a property, you're obviously locked in a property. I'm locked in a property. We're trying to do all of these things from the desk. What has been your experience in the last 7 weeks of how you've had to adapt your approach to these circumstances for yourself and also for the clients you're working with?
Yeah, okay. Those three things I just told you. Right, I am absolutely intentional about optimizing my energy. I will not sit here for 2 hours doing one thing. I will be 50 minutes, timer, get up, move, drink water, right? The habits that I talk about, optimizing energy, kind of being aware of yourself and really striving to be honest with yourself, having the courage to set boundaries, right? You talked about this earlier. I've got so many people out there to help, right? Yeah, you have. But the way you become effective is by taking care of yourself first so that you can be effective, right? Because people fall into this trap and they think, right, I'll kind of be here for everyone for this 12-hour kind of stint forever. And actually, they're not giving them anywhere near as good as they could if they were looking after themselves, right? If their brain was working well, if they were kind of charged, if their energy was here, they were kind of like, let's go, they had the focus. So the three things I talked about just now, that's what I go down into and I double down on that kind of discipline, right? And it's about the question for your audience here. If you want to kind of really know yourself better, the question is, the thing to do is ask yourself more questions about how you're being, what are you doing, how is your health, how is your energy, how important is it, and then set more intentions. Ask questions, set intentions. They're the kind of things really.
Before lockdown, what percentage of your time were you working from home, and what percentage were you out on the road, either delivering workshops, seeing clients? How did it work?
Before lockdown, for about 2 months, my life was working from home, and there's a lifestyle choice I made, because I spent a good few years on the road all of the time, sitting in the car, just basically kind of not seeing my family as much as I wanted to, and all of that. And I thought, right, stop that. You're going online. So it's kind of Zoom, it's online product, it's online courses, it's those kinds of things that I live in Zoom. So it's kind of, normal for me anyway now.
Yeah.
But, when you're at home, there is a lot more, it's easy to fall into distraction.
Yeah.
There's a lot more competing interest going on. Your son maybe is home from school and needs your attention and all that. So it's much more difficult, right? So you have to have strong relationships. So you have the boundaries, you have the communication, when you've finished your work, you actually go to your wife and children, and you're actually present and you're actually there. You're not checking the phone all the time, you've got to kind of play that game well. Does it make sense?
It more than it actually doesn't make sense. It just feels like you've been talking to me.
Yeah.
For the last half hour.
Look, what I did for you're talking about curing someone in half an hour, right?
Yeah.
What happened? I remember that call, right? So I work with this client, and kind of I'm his high performance coach, right? And the guy is kind of hitting things on fire at the moment. And what I did with him is recognize him. I saw him and I thought, wow, you're flat, right? I see him every week. I saw him on Zoom. I went, you're flat. You are kind of, your charge is gone. You're overwhelmed, right? You're stressed. I can see it. It was like, and it was just no smile. There was no kind of, right? And all I did with him was basically get him to see that he was at the moment trying to high achieve, not high perform, right? And as soon as he realized that, he got up, went out for a walk with the kids, right? He had a big smile on his face, laughing about it. He started the call with this kind of world on his shoulders, right? He left the call laughing and joking and realizing that he didn't need to do this anymore.
Yeah,
that was the switch.
Can I ask you a question then? There must be times maybe when you don't get your 8 hours sleep, or because there must be some times when you don't get that, or you have those moments when you are.
Ashley's coping, right? He's like, please,
please be someone else out there. But I mean, it's interesting. This is my training centre here. I'm echoing here, but the best thing about my training centre is I'm in next door is a church, and I'm surrounded by graveyards. So every time I feel a little bit stressed, I just go over to the window and say, well, actually, it's better to be here than it is down there, in the box. And that, I swear to God, that really helps me get over stress quite a bit. But what do you do? There must be times in the day, or maybe you wake up and you're not feeling brilliant. But what do you actually do then to snap out of that mood and get yourself back into it?
Yeah. It's important what you say. Okay.
Do I get human like everyone else?
I'm human. I'm an optimized human, right? On purpose. That's the point. Look, what you're talking about here is basically what people call a funk. They fall into a funk for a little while, right? I'll tell you the 3 reasons why people fall into a funk. Write them down for yourself.
Ready?
Right. The first one is they are fatigued. They are tired. There's too much. They're trying to do too much. They're juggling too many plates. All right. They are not sleeping well enough. They are not, hydrating, not heat. All of these kind of obvious, common sense, but not common practice things. They're just tired. Right. That's one reason we get into a funk, because I'm tired, I'm fatigued, and just my energy's low and all of that. Right. The second reason people get into a funk is they're reacting to something. There is reaction. Right? It might be they're reacting to the worry of the pandemic, let's say, or they're reacting to what somebody said. Let's say somebody said something about you, and now you feel the effect of that. They're reacting to it, or they're reacting to something they've done and they kind of feel bad about, and they're still in this reaction mode, right? That's the other thing to ask yourself. If you're in a funk, am I tired? Do I need to optimize my health a bit more? Am I reacting to something here internally in my mind or person? The third thing is rumination. People ruminate. They kind of dwell on things. They live in this thing that is just kind of not serving them anymore, right? So they're wasting their life away. They're living a half-life. They're not even here in this moment. They're either in the future worrying, or they're back in the past regretting. But it only exists in their own head. They've got to come to this moment here and be here now. So those are 3 reasons why people get into a funk. What do I do about it? Prioritize my habits hugely. They're like really important to my life. What else do I do? Part of my habits is waking in the morning, especially in the morning. People have morning routines, right? They don't have evening routines though, like I just said about 3, 2, 1, right? But they should, because this is a kind of transition as well. But what do I do? Well, part of my morning routine is expressing gratitude. Man, I mean feeling it. I don't mean talking words. I mean, thank you for my life. Thank you for my opportunity here to go and make a difference and impact people and make somebody's life better today, right? Countless amounts of them today, probably 60 people today in groups or in whatever else has happened. I have impacted them in some way. And I say thank you for that every single morning. My opportunity, I'm here. I get to live this breath. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's the first thing. Thanks for my life. Thank you for my wife. I look over and I go, I love that woman. She's in my life. I'm so grateful that she's here, right? Thank you for my wife. Is the other thing.
Does your wife not snore then?
No, I snore. Right. Thank you for my wife. Thank you for my children is the other one. Thank you for my children.
It's like a gratitude. It's gratitude, isn't it?
It's gratitude, but it's more than just talking about it, right? It's you've got to generate the energy where you actually feel it. And that snaps you out of your funk. Because now you kind of realize, actually, I've got a good life and I love life and let's go. That's one way that I wake up in the morning with a big smile on my face, because I know every single morning of my life, I feel that. And at the end of each day, I reflect back on the day and ask myself certain questions. I'll say, what was a moment I really appreciated today? What did I love about today? What was a small moment? What was the laughter with my son? What was the kind of time I did? And every single night of my life, when I sit in bed, I ask myself that question and I write it down. And what I get to do then is feel it again. I get to feel the joy again in my life in that moment. I think, what situation did I handle well today? That's the second question I ask myself every single night. Right? So there's a reflection part. What did I do well? Well done, me. Good effort, me. I'm backing myself. I'm my own friend, right? So there's a huge amount of routines and habits that are very important to me, that mean I can sustain a level of energy and charge and kind of effectiveness, right? Yeah. In all areas of my life.
I think that gratitude is something I've really taken on board recently. I've actually bought myself a book, which I'll show you here, guys. I'm not sure if I've showed you this, Chris, my little book here. The Better Life Journal.
Better Life Journal.
Great.
And I've started writing things in each day, but mainly about things that I've learned and things that I've discovered that day, either hearing a podcast or learning as well. But I think the gratitude that you've just been talking about has been fantastic. I mean, it's really helped me a lot, because it's like I'm a keen cyclist and I'm cycling every day at the moment, and I think, so God, there's just no traffic on the road, and you do start thinking about loads of things, the good things that are happening at the moment, and for me and Chris, it's definitely been at home. It's been fantastic. Yeah. Do you mind me asking, just wait, Lee, I've just got one question to ask before I forget. I obviously had a look at your video before on your website, and you were climbing some mountain somewhere, or wherever that. Where is that? Because it looks
That's
amazing.
North Devon. That's kind of where I live.
Is that where you live, North Devon?
Yeah, North Devon. Okay. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Remember cycling through there, Ash, day 2?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. Beautiful. You've been on my website. We've got a picture of Salford Docks.
Lee, we're just before we finish, all right?
It's been fantastic.
Can I tell you, I feel better than I did when we started this conversation. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My number one biggest takeaway from this conversation, and I've got 2 pages of notes for me, show notes here, but the one that I've actually yellow highlighted is emotional contagion. And you know what?
This happened here, right?
Oh my. Well, let me give you the flip side of it, all right? I've spent the last 2 days bitching, moaning and whining about how busy I've been. I've told my support team, I've told my clients, I've told my friends, and I've told my missus and everybody's sick to death of me because they don't want to hear me bitching and moaning about how busy I am anymore. In fact, I went upstairs to make a brew, and my wife turned around to me and said, "Don't tell me how many emails you've got to answer because I don't want you to give me. In fact, will you just stop giving me the head count on the number of emails you've got in your inbox? I've heard enough of it. I don't want to hear it anymore." So number one takeaway is that I'm going to stop moaning. Thank you, Lee Evans.
Listen, let me just share something with you here. Two things, right? One is leadership is a gift. Leadership is a gift we should treat with huge amounts of respect. People look up to you. People kind of are being influenced by you, right? That's a gift. People in corporates who kind of have all these people and they're like, oh, moaning and whinging about their life. It's like, you have an opportunity to develop people here every single day of your life. That's a gift. That's a responsibility that you've got to treat with some respect. You know, that's the first thing that I kind of would say to people like that. I've kind of dropped out on my head what the second was. What were you saying? There was something else really important.
Well, we were saying we were going to flip it because I was saying that that I've been emotionally contagious for the last 2 days in a very negative way. You were saying this last 45 minutes has been emotionally contagious because actually I've caught your emotional contagion. It's just that your emotional contagion is a positive one. So I've come out of it infected by Lee Evans's positivity.
Good news. The thing I was going to say has dropped out of my head. It was really important. It might come back. If it does, I'll kind of send you.
You weren't listening properly, were you?
I wasn't. I tell you what was happening. I was kind of going off on one too fast.
You were.
So, yeah, can I give you some advice? You're not getting enough sleep.
Yes.
I should have written it down.
Lee, we need to wrap, and we need people to know how they can find out more about you and how they can find out more about what you do. Okay, well, thank you for that. My website, which I said is really out of date and I need to change it, and I'm in the process of doing it anyway, but it's it's mindpowersolutions.co.uk. You can kind of get in touch with me through that. I'm on, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of that stuff. Lee_Mindpower, you'll find me. So that's basically how to get a hold of me. All right, thank you. I would like to offer my personal thanks for lifting me out of my self-pity in the last 45 minutes. And I'd like to apologise to the world that I've been a pain in the neck for the last 48 hours. Simply, I'm going to ask for forgiveness because for the first 6.5 weeks, I turned up every day full of it. But I just lost it 2 days ago. Give yourself a break. Oh, you've given it me back, and I'm hugely grateful for that, Lee. Thank you very much, and no doubt we shall meet again. Ashley, as always, the final word.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lee. I thought when we were getting Lee Evans, we were getting the comedian, but no, it's been amazing. I'm just trying to work out actually what we put on the show notes, and I think we should just put something like "You should bloody watch this" or "Listen to this," something stupid like that, because you'd be an idiot if you didn't know. Like Chris, I'll just probably give you my takeaway, and I love the gratitude thing, and I've been working really hard on that, particularly since lockdown. But I love that thing that you just said here. I love look at what's been really great today about the day, and just reflect on it. And I think I might. Do you know what? I was just thinking about something as you said that, and I wrote down something here. And I think what I might do is, I might start getting into the habit of actually telling that whatever was great that day, if it was a client or my wife or whatever that moment was, I might actually just sort of tell them what was great about that day and let them know. And then if you did that, you'll let 365 people know about what was great about that day. And I think that would give some great satisfaction. So that's my take home, Lee. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Look, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really kind of enjoyed talking to you, and I hope the kind of talk goes down well with your listeners. I hope it helps some people.
It has. It definitely will.
Lee, let me add to your list over 1,000 people that you'll be helping the day that this broadcast goes out next week.
Wonderful. Yeah. That's good news.
I think what we need to do is actually, so for the 1,000 people who are listening to this, thank you very much. Our numbers are growing. Can I ask you to do one small thing and send it to one other person? And that way we'll get up to 2,000. And I think you would be doing a real everyone a favour by everybody listening to this. So thank you very much for listening to us again. Thanks, Chris. Great to see you again. You do look a lot better. And thank you, Lee. We are 350 miles apart, something like that. We're one end of the country to the other, but it's been great having you on. And I'm off. Thanks very much, everyone. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you, Lee.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.